This right here is what happens when you get actual gamers uniting to fight back against, well, for lack of a better term, the cancer that is plaguing the gaming industry. Now, is that the be-all end-all solution here to fight back against these corporations trying to insert woke agendas into their projects? Well, no, that's not the be-all end-all solution, but it is definitely a step in the right direction, and it has been hilarious seeing this story unfold over the last week or so. Now, for people who don't know, as a quick aside to what Sweet Baby Inc. is, it's basically a consulting firm. They send out their people to these studios producing video games and more or less extort them into inserting identity politics into their games and essentially just wokeifying them. And when I say it's woke, I don't just mean that they have like a black character in it or a gay character or something like that. That's not being woke. What being woke is exactly what Sweet Baby Inc. does, which is just to try to artificially shoehorn in these identity groups into these projects in order to try to push some type of agenda. And it's usually at the overall cost of these games. And that's why we got this story coming out over the last several days about a Steam user who's been curating a list of all the different games that Sweet Baby Inc. has been involved with in order to warn potential players that this game has identity politics shoehorned into it in a manner that is at the detriment to the quality of the game. And this is something the people over at Sweet Baby Inc. really do not like. Even though this Steam user is getting all the information from his list from their own personal website, they do not like the idea that a lot of consumers are turned off from buying their games simply because their fingerprints are all over them. This article has some of their stated objectives as a company. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video game industry, writes the company on their official website. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. Yes, I really doubt that, but let's continue. We believe that representation is the key to connecting players and audiences, and we offer a few ways to help your team and project gain the perspective needed to make it happen. Obviously, it really hasn't been working out too well for them because apparently this is what they're talking about. And just something I enjoyed about this particular case as a quick aside, for Spider-Man 2, during the Western release of the game, they had a bunch of alphabet and rainbow flags inserted throughout the city, but those flags were conspicuously left out of the Middle Eastern release of the game. And this is also talking about other projects that they've worked on: Alan Wake 2, God of War Ragnarok, like I just mentioned, Spider-Man 2, and most recently Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a game that just got savaged upon its release in the reviews, and it's doing so bad a lot of people are actually asking for refunds of this game because of just how terrible it is. And not only does it just have a bunch of shoehorned in messaging, but it's also just very disrespectful to the legacy characters, particularly like Superman, The Flash, where he's literally get his corpse peed on by Boomerang. I mean, I don't know why they decided to do that, but you know, they just hate a lot of these projects. And that's one of the things a lot of fans of these projects actually have against Sweet Baby Inc. and other companies like them, is that they have no respect for the actual projects that they're working on. They don't see them as like something with an existing fan base or actual history behind it. It's just something that they can use as a springboard in order to push their agenda because it has a lot of eyes on it. In light of both their self-declared mission and many questionable narrative decisions seen in the games they've worked on, such as race swapping of Norse god. Yeah, it's like, really, it's like this is just kind of one of those things that really just takes you as a player out of it, or even as an audience for movies that do this sort of thing. It's like, there's nothing wrong with having Norse gods be white. It really is, to me, disrespectful when you think you have to race swap them in order to try to pander to these various groups. If you want to have more black people and stuff, make original things that have that, or tell story. There's a lot of good stories from like African folklore. Tell those stories instead. I would actually play those games, or I'd watch those movies. You don't need to try to appropriate other people's stuff, because it just feels less like you're trying to represent them and more or less just like, well, we can't come up with anything good for you, so we're just going to give you some hand-me-downs, or we'll give you a pity role in this sort of thing because that's the best that you deserve. And that's actually not the case. To this end, the tail end of February 2024 saw an unsatisfied player create a public Steam Curator page aptly titled Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, with the intent of warning others regarding which titles available on the platform feature the company's handiwork. And I got that page pulled up right here, Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, and you can see it just has the list of all the different games that they're involved with, not recommended, Yeah, most recent Suicide Squad. So it's all right here. But like I was saying at the start, this is actually all from their own website. You got that pulled up right here. But look at, I mean, they're not like they're hiding this or anything like that. They say that they're involved with it. They just don't like people pointing out that they're involved with these projects. And as a result, they're getting upset about this. But one of the things that I think is really interesting that's come out in the last couple of days is this video that's been resurfacing right here. According to this tweet, the co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc. Proudly explains how she actually gets companies to go along with this. And to me, you be the judge of this, but to me, this sounds like just outright extortion. Let's just take a look.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
To me, this does sound like they're just outright extorting these companies. And it is good to see people shining a light on them and what they're doing, because like the saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. And that is the best way to combat these absolute parasites. And I mean parasites in the sense that they bring nothing of value to the table. All they do is just try to leech on to what other people are creating in order to try to suck some value from them and then just disregard them, because they don't care if these games succeed or fail. I mean, they obviously want them to succeed so they can brag about it, but they don't care if they fail, because if it does, like, okay, so what? We'll just blackmail these other studios into doing something and just move on and then leave a wake of destruction behind them. And it's just nice to see that gamers are actually standing up and calling these people out and uniting against them and saying, if you're going to actually work with a company like Sweet Baby Inc., we're not going to buy your product anymore. Obviously, some of the games they've made and or they've worked with in the past have been successful, but I think that might come to change if you actually start learning what Sweet Baby Inc. does and people spread the word about what they're actually doing to the gaming industry. Because then people are going to be like, well, Sweet Baby Inc.'s involved with that. Well, then, yeah, I'll just pass it up then. And then a lot of these studios will start to think like, well, Sweet Baby Inc. is obviously poison to our bottom line, so let's not work with them. And mind you, this is only one company we're talking about here. There are other companies within the gaming industry who are doing the exact same thing. And there are other departments within these individual studios doing this stuff. And it's up to the consumer to actually figure out which people are doing this and shine a light on them too, because the war isn't over yet, but things are really starting to heat up, because now people have actually realized that a lot of what these people are pushing is toxic to the community as a whole. And we need to actually take steps in order to excise them from the gaming sphere. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button and little bell if you want to stay up to date with the latest in entertainment news. And also, if you can, click like and share the video, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.